has agreed to talk to us. Now, Dr. Hanson is a medical doctor, and he's a leading authority on stress management, and he has written several books. For instance, that one over there, which you all will get a copy on your way out, which is called The New Joy of Stress. Obviously, there's an old Joy of Stress as well, but that's The New Joy of Stress over there. And Dr. Hanson is not only an authority, he's a medical doctor by profession, but he's also an entertainer. He has been working partly as that. I don't know exactly when, but I'm told. So we not only have somebody who's an authority, but we are also going to have fun listening to that, how we're dealing with stress throughout our life, both at work and at home. So thank you very much, and I hand over now to Dr. Hanson.
Thank you, Matthias.
Thanks.
Good morning, everybody. And I understand there is a little stress involved in your line of work. Am I correct? Just a little. Well, unlike many people who are involved in treating stress, I see it in the real world. Being as I'm a medical doctor, I spent years in the emergency department of a busy hospital, witnessing the effects of stress on people who did not suspect it. I've come to view stress a little bit like an odorless gas that's in the air that could pose great danger to the slightest spark in your business. And yet, if you know what's going on, you know how to avoid it. One of the things about stress is that it is odorless, and it may not strike you as being the least bit obvious. You may think, well, that's not me. I'm 10 feet tall and bulletproof. Stress is part of the job, don't you know? Can't possibly get me, but it can. And I've seen it happen to the most unsuspecting people. In the midst of a very important project, all of a sudden their health is hit. It doesn't necessarily mean heart attacks. It could be any part of your body could break down, whatever the weak link is. And I've seen it all. I've seen the stomach ulcer in cases where that's the weak link. I've seen the chest pain or ultimately the heart attack in those cases. And sometimes it's just a question of circuit overload in the brain. When people have mental breakdowns or efficiency breakdowns, anxiety, depression, that sort of thing, we refer to that in the medical business as brain barf, actually. But what it boils down to is that something in your body might break. And just like that odorless gas that's in the air lurking as a potential danger for those who aren't aware of it and light up a cigarette or make any kind of a scratching noise with metal against metal and start a spark, stress can do nothing to you, and you think you're getting away with it, and all of a sudden, bang. So it behooves all of us to not ignore the stress, but to finally get a close-up look at it from the real world. And stress isn't something that only happens during bad times. Canada's original pioneer, and I am from Canada, but the original pioneer in stress work was Dr. Hanson. And Dr. Selye defined stress as the adaptation of our bodies to any change, adaptation of our minds as well. But any change means not just bad news. So stress can occur during good times. Ask anybody that's just delivered triplets. Terrific change in their lives. Whoa, my gosh, but very stressful. It's not only the obvious bad news. So even if you haven't had funerals or anything disastrous in your recent past, you could still be having stress with a big promotion, moving to a new house. Even if it's a nicer house, your body doesn't know. It only knows that everything is different. And commonly in your line of work, you do have to move. I've lived in 5 of Canada's 10 provinces, so I know what it's like to relocate, have to meet new friends, integrate the kids with school, and so forth. All of that is something that I grew up with, and it's all something that can either be taken one way or the other. Either you get depressed about it, or you get sick about it, or just ignore it and think it's not having any effect on everybody's relationships, or you can realize that it can also be a very positive thing. Now, the stress is only a neutral. When a television light goes on, and I did some, as Matthias said, I've done a lot of work in the entertainment business. When I was 14, I was doing live stand-up comedy monologues on television 3 nights a week in a small town in Canada. But one of the things that I noticed is that when people came on the air, the red light goes on the camera. Now, that red light is neutral light. And when you tear off a tear sheet, back in those days we had to do that, of a brand new bulletin that might be occurring, what happens is that you hand it to the announcer, and he or she will read that to absolute perfection, not a flaw. If you'd handed it to them in the hallway where there was no particular pressure, they'd probably make all kinds of mistakes. On the other hand, that same red light that brings out excellence in somebody that's trained